The Space Discovery, Discovering New Planets, Part 1. Once upon a time, in a small town, there was a group of young scientists who loved to look at the stars. They dreamed of going to space one day and discovering new planets. The leader of the group was a boy named Max. Max was very smart and always curious about what was beyond the sky. His best friend, Lily, was a girl who loved to read about space. She knew everything about the stars, the moon, and the planets. Together with their friends, they often met at night to look through their telescope. One day, Max received exciting news. There was a big competition for young scientists. The winner would get a chance to go on a real space mission. Max and Lily couldn't believe it. They had to enter the competition. The challenge was to create a plan to explore new planets in our solar system. They had only 1 month to prepare. Max and Lily gathered their friends Tom, a boy who loved building things, and Sarah, a girl who was good at solving problems. They called themselves the Space Explorers. They started working day and night on their project. Max thought about where they should go. Lily read all the books she could find about space travel. Tom built a model of a spaceship, and Sarah helped with the calculations to make sure their plan would work. After many days of hard work, they had their plan ready. They decided to explore a new planet that no one had ever visited. This planet was far away, beyond even Pluto. It was called Planet X. The space explorers believed that this planet could have life, and they wanted to be the first to find out. Finally, the day of the competition arrived. Max, Lily, Tom, and Sarah presented their plan to a group of scientists. They were nervous, but also excited. The scientists listened carefully to their ideas and asked many questions. After a long wait, the judges announced the winner. The space explorers had won. They could not believe it. They were going to space. The real journey was about to begin. The scientists helped them prepare for their mission. They trained in a space center, learning how to use all the special equipment. They practiced for weeks, getting ready for the big day. Then, the day came when they would finally launch into space. Max and his friends put on their space suits and boarded the spaceship. As the countdown began, they held hands, feeling both excited and a little scared. 3, 2, 1, liftoff. The spaceship shot into the sky, and soon they were floating in space. It was even more beautiful than they had imagined. They could see the Earth getting smaller and smaller as they traveled farther into space. They passed the Moon, Mars, and the other planets. They worked together, checking their instruments and making sure everything was going according to plan. Max was the captain, guiding the ship through the stars. Lily kept track of their position. Tom took care of the spaceship, and Sarah made sure they were on the right path. After many days, they finally reached Planet X. It was a large, mysterious planet with blue and green colors. They couldn't wait to explore it. But as they got closer, their spaceship started shaking. Something was wrong. The atmosphere of Planet X was different from what they expected. They had to land carefully, or they might crash. Max took a deep breath and carefully guided the spaceship down. The landing was rough, but they made it safely. They looked out of the window and saw a strange, beautiful landscape. The ground was covered in blue rocks, and there were tall green trees with shiny leaves. The air was thick, and it felt different from Earth. The space explorers were the first humans to ever set foot on Planet X. They were excited, but also cautious. What would they find on this new planet? Would there be life? Would they discover something no one had ever seen before? They had many questions, but they knew they had to take it one step at a time. As they opened the door of the spaceship and stepped onto the surface of Planet X, they felt a sense of adventure and wonder. This was just the beginning of their great journey, to be continued in Part 2. The Space Discovery, Discovering New Planets, Part 2. As Max, Lily, Tom, and Sarah stepped onto the surface of Planet X, they were filled with awe. The ground beneath their feet was soft, almost like a sponge. The sky above was a strange shade of purple, and the air smelled sweet, like flowers. Everything was different from Earth, yet it was incredibly beautiful. Max was the first to speak. "This is amazing. We are standing on a new planet, one that no human has ever visited before. We must be very careful and explore as much as we can." The space explorers began their exploration, walking slowly and observing everything around them. The tall green trees with shiny leaves were unlike any trees they had ever seen. Lily took out her notebook and started drawing pictures of the plants and rocks. "These trees are so tall, and look at these strange flowers growing at their base," she said. The flowers were bright yellow with petals that sparkled in the light. Tom, who loved to build things, was fascinated by the blue rocks scattered across the ground. He picked one up and noticed it was very light. "These rocks are strange. They're blue and almost feel like they're hollow inside," he said. He decided to collect a few samples to bring back to Earth. As they walked further, they noticed something moving in the distance. It was a small creature, about the size of a cat, with blue fur and large eyes. The creature seemed curious and came closer to them, but it didn't seem afraid. Sarah crouched down and extended her hand toward the creature. It sniffed her hand and then made a soft, humming sound. "I think it likes us," Sarah said with a smile. The creature began to follow them as they continued exploring the area. They decided to name it Blue because of its blue fur. The deeper they went into the forest, the more they discovered. They found a small stream with water that glowed in the dark. The water was crystal clear, and when they touched it, it felt warm. "This water is so pure and different from Earth's water," Lily noted. She collected a small sample to study later. As night began to fall on Planet X, the sky turned from purple to deep blue, and the stars shone brightly above them. But these stars were different. They were much closer, and some of them had a soft, glowing light. Max looked up in wonder. We must be in a part of the universe where the stars are closer to each other. It's like a dream, he said. The group decided to set up camp for the night. They built a small shelter using materials from their spaceship and sat around a small, portable heater to stay warm. As they ate their food, they talked about everything they had seen that day. This planet is full of surprises. We have so much more to explore, said Tom. Suddenly, they heard a rustling sound coming from the trees. Blue, the creature they had met earlier, stood up and looked toward the noise. The rustling grew louder, and then they saw something incredible. A group of tall, glowing beings emerged from the forest. These beings were graceful and had long limbs, and their skin glowed softly in the dark. They seemed to be communicating with each other through light patterns on their bodies. The space explorers were both amazed and a little scared. Should we be afraid? Sarah whispered. But Max shook his head. I don't think they mean any harm. Let's stay calm and see what happens, he replied. The glowing beings approached them slowly. They seemed curious, just like Blue had been earlier. One of the beings raised its hand, and a gentle light flowed from its palm, forming shapes in the air. The shapes looked like stars, planets, and galaxies. Max realized that the beings were trying to communicate with them. I think they're showing us where they come from, Max said. They might be telling us about their world and their journey through space. Lily, who was always good at understanding new things, stepped forward. She tried to imitate the glowing patterns with her hands, hoping to communicate back. The beings watched her closely, and then one of them stepped closer and touched her hand. The touch was warm, and Lily felt a sense of peace and understanding. After a few moments, the beings moved back and gestured for the space explorers to follow them. I think they want to show us something, Tom said. The group decided to trust the beings and followed them deeper into the forest. After walking for some time, they arrived at a large, open area. In the center of this space was a huge crystal, glowing brightly with all the colors of the rainbow. The crystal was unlike anything they had ever seen. It was tall and seemed to be alive, pulsing with energy. The glowing beings stood around the crystal and began to hum softly. The crystal responded by glowing even brighter. Max, Lily, Tom, and Sarah felt a strong energy surrounding them. It was as if the crystal was speaking to them, not with words, but with feelings. They felt a sense of connection, of belonging, as if they were part of something much bigger. Suddenly, the crystal began to show images inside its glowing surface. The space explorers saw pictures of different planets, stars, and galaxies. They saw images of other beings, much like the glowing ones, traveling through space, exploring new worlds. Then they saw an image of Earth, their home planet. The crystal was showing them that they were part of a larger universe, one filled with endless possibilities and connections. Max realized that the beings had brought them here to share this knowledge with them, to show them that Earth was not alone in the universe. This crystal is a source of life and knowledge, Max said in awe. It connects all the planets and beings in the universe. We are all part of this great journey. As the images faded, the glowing beings stepped back and gestured for the space explorers to return to their ship. They understood that it was time to go home, but they knew that their lives had been changed forever. The space explorers thanked the beings for their kindness and knowledge. They returned to their spaceship, carrying with them the memories of their incredible journey. Blue, the little creature, decided to stay on Planet X, waving goodbye as they prepared for their journey back to Earth. As they lifted off from Planet X, they looked back at the beautiful planet one last time. The glowing beings waved to them from below, and the crystal shone brightly, as if saying goodbye. The journey back to Earth was filled with excitement and reflection. Max, Lily, Tom, and Sarah knew that they had discovered something much more than a new planet. They had discovered the connection between all living things in the universe. When they finally returned to Earth, they were greeted as heroes. They shared their story with the world, inspiring others to look at the stars and dream of what lies beyond. The space explorers knew that their journey was just the beginning. There were many more planets to explore, many more beings to meet, and many more connections to make. They had seen the wonders of the universe, and they were ready for whatever came next. And so, the story of Max, Lily, Tom, and Sarah, the brave space explorers, became a legend. Their discovery of Planet X and the glowing beings showed the world that the universe is full of mystery, wonder, and endless possibilities.